Maybe something has happened in your life recently that you would like to celebrate, but you are on a shoestring budget. Thank you to Dawn Brewer for this wonderful idea on how to celebrate with a tight budget. I'm using a $15 budget and we're going to be feeding 10 people. Now these are full-grown adults, so that will be food for full-grown adults. Before I got too far into the video, I did want to give a disclaimer that I don't do a ton of decorating, so my idea of a party, it revolves around the food, not the decor. There are a lot of channels that do decor, and I will link some of those below that I enjoy watching. I got everything from Walmart. I got a red onion, a green bell pepper, a pack of pepperoni, powdered sugar, a can of crushed tomatoes, a 5-pound bag of flour, a pack of the yeast. I keep it in bulk, so I didn't buy that. A thing of margarine, which is way cheaper than butter for me, and a block of mozzarella cheese, which I shredded. These are the seasonings we'll be using. We'll be using salt, ground cinnamon, onion powder, crushed red pepper flakes, Italian seasoning, and garlic powder, as well as some minced garlic and some imitation vanilla flavoring. I also love to cut down on time by using my bread maker to mix all the dough. If you don't have a bread maker, you can mix it all by hand. It's just a little more work for all the mixing that has to be done. The recipe for this simple dough will be below in the description, and I will get to work on making one batch of it. We're actually going to make 2 batches, but my bread machine can only hold one of these batches, which would equal out to about 2 whole loaves of bread per batch. We're using powdered sugar instead of regular sugar to sweeten the bread, as well as to give the yeast something to feed off of in order to help it to start rising and multiplying. When you feed the yeast and stir it around, you're going to check back within about 10 minutes. It should start bubbling. If it's not bubbling, you're going to want to scrap it and just continue on. I tried to make sure we had enough ingredients on hand in case one batch failed. As you can see, this yeast is definitely bubbling up, so we're going to go ahead and add in our other ingredients. Now we're making a Stromboli with this, but you could definitely keep all the pieces flat and make this into a pizza party instead. Now, as many of you know, this channel recently passed 1,000 subscribers, and I'm so happy and so thankful for that. Thank you all for watching and commenting and letting me know what you all would like to see on this channel, because first and foremost, this channel is here to be a help to anyone who watches. Now we've finished making 2 batches of our dough, and I went ahead and took them and divided them into 4 different pieces. And then I took one of those 4 pieces and divided them in half. Those will be our cheesy garlic balls or cheesy garlic bites, and the other one will be our cinnamon sticks. As you saw, I flattened out 1 piece of dough, and then I got to work on our sauce. We're going to go ahead and add in our crushed tomatoes, and then I added in a mix of Italian seasoning, garlic powder, onion powder, and a little bit of red pepper flakes, which are optional, and some salt to taste. Then I gave it all a good stir, and I put about 1/3 of it onto our crust and spread it out. Added mozzarella cheese in a thin layer across the top, and then I added whatever other toppings. This one I wanted to make a pepperoni and cheese one, so I added some pepperoni, and some of the other ones we made one that was just cheese, and another one we made into a pepper, onion, and pepperoni, so kind of a loaded Stromboli. I flipped the Stromboli in half and went ahead and rolled the edges and pinched them together. I rolled them up, and that way it has a little lip, so if it does separate in the oven, it's very unlikely that the sauce would pour out over the edge. There was one that had a little bit of sauce that leaked out, but for the most part, this little lip made sure that none of the sauce from the inside leaked onto the pan and burned. And here's our finished Stromboli. I let it rise again for about 30 more minutes just to let it have a second rise, and then popped it into the oven that I had preheated to 350 degrees. Now you can see we're doing our other 2 Strombolis, the plain cheese one, and then the loaded up one with those purple onions, the pepper, and the pepperoni. If you do get spots that break like this, you can just pinch off a little of excess dough from the crust and lay it over that spot, and it will kind of cover up the hole and keep the sauce and cheese from leaking out. You could also make the edge a little more decorative. I just kind of rolled it up and let it bake, but you could definitely crimp it or make a design. or braid the edge, but all of those take a little more time, and I knew the people that were coming over would just really enjoy the food part of things, and I was on a little bit of a time crunch. Now we're making our cheesy garlic bites. You're just going to pinch off about an inch of dough, flatten it out, lay it on your parchment paper. Then you're going to brush it with just a little bit of the chopped or minced garlic and about a teaspoon worth of your shredded mozzarella. You could also put a pepperoni piece in it if you wanted to. Then you're going to wrap those ingredients around until it's sealed and pinch it shut, and then lay it seam side down on your parchment paper. You're going to want to leave a little bit of room around each of them so that it has room to spread out and rise. We're also getting started on our cinnamon sticks. You're going to take about 1 inch of dough and then just kind of roll and stretch it until it's a long thin strand, and place them next to each other. Again, leave room for a little bit of rise. And these don't rise a whole lot because they're smaller, but they will rise a little bit. If you are wanting a sweeter dough, you could also add in a little bit of powdered sugar into the dough to make that particular batch of dough, or that small batch of dough, to be a little sweeter. While they sat and rose, I went ahead and got to work with our coating, which was a cup of powdered sugar and a tablespoon of cinnamon. And I also got to work on our other coating that we're going to be brushing all the savory things with, which is some melted butter and Italian seasoning. Our first Stromboli is out of the oven, and now so is our second one. Our third one's about to go into the oven along with those bites and sticks that we just finished making. And we're gonna just brush these two ginormous Strombolis with some of our melted Italian butter. I think what ended up being everyone's favorite, it seemed like, was that loaded one, the one with the peppers, onions, and pepperoni in it. Several people said that was their favorite, but I have a couple of people who definitely are not into the veggies, so they were grateful for the other options. Again, I do want to remind everyone that when you're throwing a party, it's okay to ask for some help in throwing it, as far as like having friends bring drinks, which is what they did today, or friends bring desserts, which also somebody else brought a dessert to this one. So ask for help if you're throwing a party on a budget. It will help stretch that money a little further. These are so delicious and huge. Now our garlic cheesy bites are out of the oven, and we're just brushing it with that Italian butter again. It gives it a nice little pop of flavor on the top, and then inside that garlic and the cheese really hits home. These were gone like really fast. Everybody chowed down on them and came back for seconds, and then when they came back for thirds, they were kind of gone. So yeah, these were a hit. My husband said he preferred these bites, and I preferred the cinnamon sticks. So I'm curious. I have a sweet tooth. My husband has more of a savory tooth. What kind of tooth do you have? Sweet or savory? What do you prefer? Comment below and let me know. Now I brushed these cinnamon sticks with a little bit of butter just to help everything stick to them, and then I popped them all in this bag and gave it a good shake just to get everything coated, and then I just kind of fished them all out of the bag. I loved how this made my kitchen smell with the cinnamon and then all the savory garlicky flavors. It really smelled like some kind of like pizza place, like a Pizza Hut or Papa John's or something like that. Now you could definitely make a dipping sauce for these cinnamon sticks with a little bit of vanilla and a little bit of your powdered sugar and some water, like about a teaspoon to a fourth of a cup, and just mix that all together and you'd have a nice little dipping sauce. These are how they turned out. You can see they're nice and light and airy inside, and these turned out really fluffy and cheesy inside. I kind of got the cheese pull out of frame, but you can see the after effect that it's definitely cheesy inside and just aromatic and delicious. Our last Stromboli is out of the oven and ready to be brushed with that butter again. Now I wouldn't be doing the Stromboli justice without slicing into it. As you can see, that crust really holds up well, so it's perfect for playing games so that your hands don't get all sticky and greasy like they would with a pizza. And then on top of it, you've got the cheese kind of just gooing out of the center and all of that delicious sauce. This was the perfect amount for 10 people. In fact, we had a little slice left over and we sent it home with the guy who's going off to college. Now I'm making some delicious butter snowball cookies. Now this recipe is not my own, so I've got exact measurements and everything in that link that is down below. Click on it and you'll give their site the traffic that it deserves. This recipe is delicious and very simple. It just uses the powdered sugar, margarine or butter, which butter is like double the price of margarine. I don't know about where it is or how much it is where you all are at, but it's pretty pricey. I went ahead and mixed it up with some salt, a little bit of that vanilla, some flour, and we roll these into little shapes and balls. This holds its shape really well, so you can spell out things, you can do different shapes. I did some hearts and some little sticks you can see, and you're gonna go ahead and line them up. They don't spread out too much, so you don't have to worry about having too much space on there. I also got to work on making the topping, which is literally just powdered sugar. If you wanted to, you could put a little cinnamon in here and make it cinnamon sugar, or you could make this into a frosting and frost it. You could also put that dough into a cookie press and make a different colored cookie or a different shaped cookie. Really, the sky's the limit. It's a very versatile recipe, and I appreciate that about it. I stuck all of my warm cookies into my bag and just shook it around and coated all of those cookies as best as I could, and then I fished them out kind of like I did with those cinnamon sticks. Now, one last time, I just wanted to tell you all thank you. I really appreciate all the time that you take to watch the videos, to give comments and just critiques on ways that I could make things better or things more helpful for you all. You had so many good ideas in that comment section of the community post I gave that I would love to give several of those videos more time and thought, especially the large family meal ideas. So if you left a comment there, your video may be coming up at some time in the future. Thank you all again for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.